Guys, I'm so excited for you to watch the upcoming collab. Before we get into that, though, I have a new way for you to claim this awesome champion, Bambus 4-Leaf, for your very own, guys. Increase attack, increase accuracy, enfeeble, very unique debuffs, very unique buffs, especially for the early game. Guys, a shield growing champion, a buff decreasing champion. Guys, this champion is absolutely awesome, and you can get this champion right now on a brand new account by using my link in the description below. You'll also be rewarded with an Ugo. I think the Ugo is as you level up, but guys, Ugo has been very, very important throughout this whole HellHades free-to-play challenge. So guys, without further ado, hope you enjoy the upcoming video. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am Felris and I have on a very special guest today. We've got Bront Cat Herder from the Bront Cat Herder Gaming channel. Bront, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good. It's been a fun morning, just waking up, having coffee, having all that fun stuff, and ready to raid.
Awesome. Well, Bront is currently the top free-to-play player in the HellHades free-to-play challenge, and he is going to be giving me a very big warning for what I need in live arena, because I am approaching level 50. As you guys can see here, I'm level 44, getting that grind, trying to get some more 6 stars, which gives me XP very fast. So, Bront, go ahead, kick us off. What's been your Raid Shadow Legends free-to-play live arena experience? Like, what do you need? What's been your strategies and everything?
It has been weird. And just from my perspective of how I've started the game, and it's certainly affected things as well. First of all, what was the code you picked? Which champion did you grab from the code?
I grabbed Wukong here.
You grabbed one Wukong. Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. That's what I grabbed as well. And I think that I grabbed him specifically because I wanted to focus on arena to some extent. And I think he was definitely a good pick for that. Because that speed aura does a lot of heavy lifting in arena, and I'm very sure you're aware of that because in classic arena it's probably doing a lot of heavy lifting for you as well. 28% speed in all arena battles, very, very strong. That's basically 28 points of speed extra on every champion on your team. So
right, yeah. But, I mean, he's good. That is also why I chose Wukong. I've kind of regretted it as far as clan boss is concerned. I'm not doing very well at all in the challenge, and I know that, but I was approaching this as a learning experience, so I'm not super fussed, but I'm still on normal and hard clan boss, you know? So I kind of wish I had picked Taragi as far as that's concerned, but I know it's going to help me, and the value of Wukong here is going to really shine come live arena, so, you know, what can I say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 3-keying Nightmare at the moment and can 1-key Brutal most of the time. To be fair, a lot of that heavy lifting is the Geomancer I pulled, which is kind of a bit of a cheat code. And from that perspective, just to give you some tips, I really would have 6-starred Kale first for clan boss, just because those poisons are worth more than almost anything else. Other than now, the fact that you've actually got Alice with Brimstone, that is certainly going to help your damage in clan boss as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was kind of hoping to pull another poisoner because personally, I like Kale. I think Kale is great, but like his poisons on this A3 here, they're super inconsistent. You know, the poisons on the A1 are great. Potentially the best part about his kit in clan boss, and the A2 is kind of just meh in clan boss. It just hits hard, but I was really hoping that I'd pull like a frozen banshee or something, but I haven't. There are a lot of good poisoners in the game, you know, I just haven't hit on one.
Yeah, that's actually funny. You mentioned frozen banshee. I pulled her within the first week, and that's part of what I progressed in clan boss for. And then she got swapped out for Geomancer when I pulled the Geomancer because, you know, duh. And
right,
so that's been kind of fun. But as far as the arena stuff is concerned, yeah, the getting Sun Wukong up and running is definitely going to be helpful for you. Alice is probably going to be your main damage dealer because right now you're probably running, I'm just guessing, but you're probably running Ugo, Monkey, Alice, and probably Ulfric maybe?
Yeah, Ulfric is my my turn meter booster. I've actually pulled 2 of him. But yeah, Ulfric is currently my fastest champion here, coming in at 2. Wait, is he my fastest, or is it him or Morag? One of the 2 is my fastest champion. Yeah, no, it's him. Okay, so Ulfric is going to be my fastest champion here. He's my turn meter booster because he's got this really it's basically half of Arbiter, you know? It's half of Arbiter there. And then he's got the continuous heals, which are okay in Arena, but basically he just does this move and then he's done. But yeah, I use
He's got
Wukong.
Arena aura too, or is he a general aura?
He's a 15% general aura. So this is what I've been using. Wukong, Aelfrig, Alice, Tagore almost at 200 speed, giving me that increased speed, as well as the revive. So
what I've found success with is I really have found that early on the decreased defense makes a huge difference in Arena, especially when fighting teams that are not quite as powerful, or actually I'd say are more powerful than you. And in fact, I've moved to, I use Haikatoon now instead of Tagore because I've got Haikatoon, and that's the first decent speed booster I've had. She fills that role very well as a speed booster because, yes, she's got the 15% speed aura and increased speed. You don't get the increased attack, which is actually kind of nice for Ulfric, so it's not too bad to have him. And in fact, honestly, I think having Ulfric and Haikatoon could be beneficial for you in the live arena space, because way you can possibly bring both of them and not necessarily worry if one of them gets banned. You'll still have a speed booster available for you.
Yeah, and I've got this
your teams are getting crowded too, so you got to worry about that too. Because then you've got the monkey you want to bring, then you've got Alice you want to bring, and then it's probably going to be either Ugo or Tagore as probably your fifth.
I think there's something to be said for Sabitha or Skull Crusher. I was lucky enough to pull Skull Crusher. That was awesome. That's going to be a huge boost to Clan Boss. But
Skull Crusher could be interesting as well. Sabitha, I think, is a good call. The problem with Sabitha, I think she overlaps a little bit with Ulfric's ability. So I would think actually I would probably, well, I don't know. It's kind of it's hit or miss. But going into live arena early on, there's a couple things you need to be warned about.
Okay.
And it's actually warnings. So first of all, you're probably not going to fight a live person in Bronze 1.
Okay.
This is not entirely true, but there's a good chance you're not going to fight a live person in Bronze 1. So the first 50 points of your arena, so basically the first 10 fights, are not going to be against too many live people. So what you're going to get is you're generally going to get accounts where they pick either random champions, or quite often it's like, I see an awful lot of Adeline in Arena, which is a horrible choice.
Yes.
But you see an awful lot of Adeline in Arena. That's fine. Take Adeline. I don't care. That she has a big heal, and she can put people to sleep occasionally. And that's about the extent of why she might be okay in Arena. You can kill everybody else and then deal with her because she's a bad affinity. It's nice. You're done. But the other thing to worry about is that most of the bots will pick your very first champion for ban fodder. So when you select your team, especially considering there's no limits in bronze, or not even in silver, there's no limits like we've used to in gold at this point in time.
Right.
You don't need to pick like one of your most important champions first. You want to pick actually your least important champion first. In fact, I was originally picking Tagore for a while, as I didn't mind Tagore getting banned because I would then have Monkey, Alice, and a couple other people. I later on actually started changing it up a little bit and started putting in Geomancer as my first pick, because actually Geomancer is actually pretty solid in early game Arena. It's one of these things I wouldn't have thought of using him for, but he basically can be a single target lockout and killer, because he can take persons, steal all their turn meter so they don't get a turn initially, and then all the other damage the enemy team does reflects back onto that person you just took out of the fight. So he actually can kind of partially assassinate a single target, and it's nice. Plus he's got the AoE decreased accuracy, which can sometimes help a little bit on the A1, and he actually can hit fairly hard on that A2. It's actually got some pretty raunchy model players. I don't have him built for damage, so it's not something I do, but I found that I don't mind him getting banned. And if he doesn't get banned, I can often use him to my advantage. So it's a good option. Whereas Tagore now kind of overlaps enough with my Haikatoon. I don't bring Tagore too much anymore.
So to be clear, you're saying pick your least important champion first so that it gets banned.
It's weird. It's counterintuitive, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to get banned. Generally the bots will tend to ban your first champion. Not always.
Okay.
Sometimes they will ban your speed lead, which means Monkey's going to get banned a lot.
Right.
Now, if you get a live person, they're going to ban something else usually, but even then, they tend to ban one of the first few champions I found versus the later champions unless you've got somebody that actually knows what they're doing.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm guessing on your account, Alice is probably your most important champion for your arena teams.
Yeah, she's my
gonna be the
biggest
one that hits
nuker.
the hardest. Yeah, she's your biggest nuker. She's going to hit the hardest.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's got a good aura. If you don't have a speed aura, then you're going to want that attack aura because you might as well kill people fast if you get a chance.
Right.
And you've got that, if she can lock people out, that's great too. So
yeah,
she's probably good for your last pick, or maybe your second to last pick. So you want, you know, it's another way to protect her and kind of bring her along. Otherwise, you're still going to want to make sure that you bring the standard live arena stuff. Always bring at least 2 nukers.
Right.
You know, always think about bringing 2 supports. Basically, when you deal with a team, make sure that you understand that if any one person is banned, if your team falls apart entirely, then they're probably not the best pick for live arena. So
interesting.
Morag would actually be an interesting option for live arena as well once you get her higher, because the counter attacks, the strengthen can help you survive stuff, and the ally attack is a good way to take people out occasionally too, especially around UDKs if you struggle with those.
Right. Yeah, I quite like Morag as far as this strengthen is concerned. It combos very well. I was lucky enough to pull ally protectors, Skull Crusher and Vergus. So that plus Morag strengthen gives me a total of 75% damage mitigation, which I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, I mean, the other thing that I could potentially do is go super slow, Morag and Skull Crusher or Vergus, probably Vergus because he's higher level, and just outlast them. And that's something that I did on my main account with actually that same combination of buffs, strengthen, and ally protection. And yeah, it works pretty well. It works pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's an interesting strategy too. I actually just pulled Vergus on my account, so I'm actually kind of excited to get. I've actually never built a Vergus. Vergus was like the second to last epic I ever pulled of like some of the epics I'd played with. You know, 2 years in my account, I didn't have a Vergus for whatever reason. I kind of wanted the dude for a while, and I finally I think I had Eurost before I had Vergus, so I had, you know, Scarab King kind of well solved by the time I got him. Yeah, he's a fun champion, and yeah, I guess I can certainly see him in the Outlast in the arena standpoint. I've generally found that the speed farm arena team tends to be just a good option early on, because especially if you can outspeed your opponent, if you can then damage your opponent, you can decimate them, and most people are not going to have a revive on their team.
Right.
You know, not entirely true. You get, I mean, early on, I was seeing a lot of people with Sabbatha, so there were a lot of people that did have a team, but that's actually where Alice comes in clutch, because she can get through that block damage with her A1.
Right.
Very, very nice. Takeover I haven't seen as much of in live arena, but he still shows up occasionally, because again, he's one of the newer codes. There are tons of Ugos. That's fine. Ugo is always an interesting problem. And that's actually one of the other things you can certainly try to do if you want to tweak things just a little bit. If Ugo is in the last position on your team, she's the last person to take damage, which means that her passive, which you don't have unlocked yet, which is certainly worth unlocking. I can't tell you how many times that passive has done something amazing for my account.
Hey, there we go. Got it unlocked right now.
Good. All right. But yeah, just one of these weird things where, you know, if you put her as the last person you pick, so maybe Alice is not the last person you pick, maybe Ugo's the last person you pick.
Right.
Everyone else dies. If she's the last person to take damage, and of course the damage is done in order of your team order on AoE attacks, even though it says simultaneous, it's not done in that order. It's done, you know, in order of the champions. She'll process her block damage and survive an AoE hit, which gives you a chance to revive, pick up your team, and win.
It's really interesting because, like, on my main account, I would never rely on this passive, but it's really interesting to see that you have relied on this passive. I mean, this is a champ that we all got, at least all the content creators, because we all had to use the same code, right? So this is a champ we all got, and I never would have guessed that passive would come in useful that way. I assume then that you save this A3, right? You just don't use it. You open with the decreased defense, you A1 spam, and then you just have the A3 on hand for whenever she procs that passive. That also means she has to be the tankiest one on my team, right?
Well, she doesn't have to be the tankiest one on the team, because again, if she's in the last place, she'll be the last person to take damage regardless.
Okay.
So it does help if she's a one of the tankier people on your team, but she doesn't be the tankiest person on your team.
Okay.
The other thing that's weird, and honestly, using that, because you're talking live arena, you're talking about thinking about these things. You're not doing this on auto. So you can think about, do I need to cleanse something? And that's the other thing that she's really good for, is that cleanse.
Yeah.
So say, for example, Loki can certainly be annoying. I don't see a lot of Lokis in live arena though, so that's been good. But Loki can be annoying if he can put his block buffs on a bunch or block active skills on a bunch of people. If for some reason it's not on Ugo, Ugo has a chance to cleanse that. There's a reason to use that cleanse just to unlock your team.
Right.
You're fighting somebody that does burns. Sometimes you may want to cleanse just to get rid of the burn. If the burn kind of eats your team up.
Yeah.
There's other ways to kind of look into that. It's one of the best ways to use RNG to your advantage, basically. Set yourself up to get the most random chances of happening. In fact, I don't know if you want to take a look over in Chimera quickly or not. This is actually kind of a fun little side quest. Just talking
let's
about
go
the
for
power of Ugo. In Chimera, if you look at the normal teams,
there you go.
And you see my wonderful key I've got right up there.
Yep.
I almost died halfway through at the end of the Viper phase. The Viper took his last turn. Ugo put up block damage. The Viper actually, the Viper didn't take the last turn. The Viper was taking its last turn. He changed over to the next form, wiped everybody but Ugo. Ugo picked everybody on my team right back up, and I got almost double the damage in Chimera because I got that save.
Yeah,
so,
you've got a really solid team here. You really do. I mean, Geomancer obviously putting in all the work, right? But you've got a really solid team.
It's Geomancer puts a lot of work in, and honestly, the other thing that's not shown on there is Geomancer's got the damage mitigation, which is actually another reason that's kind of fun to use him in arena occasionally. Is you get 15% damage mitigation if he's got the burnout as well, because of that reflect damage part of it. So, but that Ugo save is absolutely clutch in all kinds of areas for an early game, and it's one of these things I wouldn't ever count on it for a full auto team.
Right.
But you're manualing live arena, so it's an easy thing to count on there. So watch your speeds, and that's another thing too. Is I've actually found, and I think you've generally got people that are fast, so that's not been a problem. I know some people don't focus on speed, and that's a mistake. Speed kills in this game, and I can't tell you how often I have been against teams where it's like, I can't compete with this team. This is disgusting, and then I outsped them enough where I was able to lap them with my Alice.
Oh wow! How fast is your Alice, if I can ask?
190 something, I think.
Okay, so she's slower than mine. Mine's at 155.
182. So she is 182 with 210% crit damage, 4K attack, and 255 accuracy.
Nice.
Now, to be fair, I've got the 5-star soul on her, so you've only got the 4-star, I think. So that's where the accuracy kind of comes from.
Right.
Plus, I actually forged the Cat's Gaze, so
Hey, nice. Yeah, that Cat's Gaze is game changing in arena. I even felt it on my main account because I was lucky enough to craft it, and I pulled it from the Titan event as well, and it just wrecked Stone Skin for me. You know what I mean? I have it on the actual cat, who has quickly become like my favorite nuker. But like that Cat's Gaze, you're lucky to have it on the HellHades free to play account because it's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I did when I was building the account out. I managed to get lucky and I got a soul on Sun Wukong early.
Oh, wow.
So I've got Brimstone on him, which meant that I didn't have to bring Alice into Clan Boss, which meant that I've got, instead of Alice and Clan Boss, I've got Sun Wukong and Clan Boss with War Master and Brimstone. And Alice, I actually went with a full arena build. She still got Brimstone because obviously Brimstone's so useful in most areas of the game.
Right.
But I've got, I would like to get Soul Reaper on her at some point in time. And I've got Helm Smasher on her instead because I went full on arena build with her.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So how tanky are the teams you're running up against?
It's always weird. And this I guess is probably the best things to do as well with these things. There are very few teams where I look at the team and it's like, all right, that's it, I'm out. And usually those are the teams that every once in a while you come across like, all right, that account is a full level 100, and that's their third empowered mythical they just brought out. I think I'm done with this fight.
Right.
But I've beaten teams with Galathir on it before.
Okay. Wow.
I've beaten teams with a couple of mythicals, with not a couple, but one mythical on them.
Okay.
Generally, I will try to ban a mythical if I can, just because it is so much easier to make a mythical good as an early game account. And, it's possible. I mean, I've pulled the Primal Shard. It's possible. In theory, 1 out of every 200 accounts has got a mythical that's pulling the first Primal. So,
right.
But generally, if they're a lower level account, so if they're 60-ish or 50-something, there's a good chance I feel I've built my champions better because I do know what I'm doing as far as the builds go. I know you know what you're doing with the builds. Some of the builds I've seen so far are generally fairly good.
My only problem is gear. There you go.
Yeah, it's obviously a matter of, I don't have the best gear for them, but I've at least got the right type of gear on them, and I've got the right direction. So, and that's really all you can do on an early game account is you can't necessarily say I have the best gear ever on stuff. I've gotten kind of lucky. Like, I think I've got a 6-star attack chest on Kale.
Wow.
It's got speed and accuracy on it. I think Alice's chest is a 5-star. Yeah, Alice's chest is a 5-star attack pinpoint piece with speed and crit rate as the main subs and a double hit crit rate.
That's fire, man.
That's probably not coming off of her for the rest of the competition, honestly, because it's going to be really hard to replace.
Right.
Heck, even the boots, they're only 4-star speed boots, but they're 4-star speed boots with crit rate and crit damage and attack percent substats.
Wow. Yeah. Dang, that's awesome, man. If I can ask, how much do you farm gear versus doing like champ training?
I've mostly been hardcore champ training. I got my 7th 6-star during the first day of CVC, and I probably would have had another one if I hadn't had some personal stuff that kind of took me away from my computer for several hours yesterday.
Fair.
And that's fine. I mean, it's stuff happens and real life overraid and all that fun stuff too. Yeah. But I've just kind of been grinding, and it's a lot of it too is that I haven't been pulling as shards as often as possible. So I have pulled some, and honestly, at this point, I don't have any ancients anymore because I have been pulling them. Right. But I haven't been pulling them like nonstop. I haven't been buying shards like some people I've seen have. I've mostly been focused on what are the champions I have, and how can I get them the best to do the content I have. And the only times I've been pulling are either when I feel the chances of getting something really amazing are high, or I'm at a spot where I really kind of need something more than what I don't have on my roster. Right. And sometimes it works out well, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, my last shard pulls that I did, in fact, I think I posted that video today as of filming this, that we're filming on a Friday. I got like 5 rares I ended up keeping because I needed like Shadowkin rares, and it was a couple Shadowkin rares. I got a Master Butcher at some point in time. Master Butcher is going to be clutch for the next rotation of Doom Tower.
For sure.
That's actually why I'm building Vergis, is I'm going to want him for the Scarab at some point in time, I'm very sure.
Yeah.
So making him better, but I also think he'll be interesting to use in Clan Boss because of the ally protection. And again, I wouldn't have thought about using him in Arena, but yeah, as a 6-star, he might be kind of a fun champion to throw in Arena and give a try there.
Yeah, I mean, I have him in an Immortal set, which will help, definitely, because he can be super annoying if he's just constantly healing and shielding himself and your opponent can't do anything because his passive just keeps him alive. So he's a good option if you're going for the Outlast strat, But really, what I
to is like Fire Knight. We got a Fire Knight tournament right now.
Yeah.
Fire Knight's 2x Savage. I can farm Fire Knight 20. It takes me like 6 minutes, but I can farm Fire Knight 20. So I'm going to move into Fire Knight 20 for a while when I can and try to get some decent Savage gear. And it helps that Fire Knight's one of the better dungeons to farm if you're going to farm a dungeon anyway.
Right.
I do need to move into Dragon at some point in time because I would like some Destroy gear eventually for that Scarab boss team. I probably don't need it very early, so I can probably afford to live without it for a bit. And I don't want like a 2x Destroy, because once I get enough Destroy gear to put on somebody, I don't need that much more of it. It's not a great set normally.
Yeah.
But it's one of these few sets that this is a very specific use for it, very early game, is the Scarab boss.
I'm struggling with Fire Knight. It's the dungeon I'm struggling most with. I'm on stage 13. I got to clear stage 13. I built an Armiger out for it. Yeah, I built an Armiger out for it. Goal Crusher, obviously, for the counterattacks, and then Alice for the triple hit. But like, I'm not entirely sure. Like, Morag is obviously a fantastic Fire Knight champ, right? Obviously, I could take like out Aelfrig. He's just my speed lead, right? So I could do something like that. I was hoping those books I just stuck into Morag would book the ally attack, but they didn't. So I do have the passive now, though. So hey, maybe something will change there. I'm not entirely sure, but Fire Knight's been a doozy for me. Dragon, I just need to devote some more time to. I can get to 20, I'm sure of that. Ice Golem, probably a similar thing. Yeah, similar thing, especially since I've got ally protection. Ice Golem isn't going to be a problem. I just need to actually go in and push it, and then also same with the event dungeon. I just need to go in and push it to where I can get the 6-star gear here. But yeah, that's kind of my barrier is gear right now.
Regularly. The event dungeon, been farming that pretty regularly when I can. It's basically Unless there's an event that says I should farm something else, at least for my daily missions, I will do 4 farms in the event dungeon at stage 18 or 19 are the ones I can farm pretty consistently. 19 gets a little ropey at times, but I can beat it about 80% of the time. So every once in a while I push into that until I fail. Otherwise, stage 18 is 100% at this point in time. I'd like to get to 20, but I'll take even 4-star gear for pinpoint too.
Yeah, and this is a hard dungeon for people who are struggling with gear. Like, it really is. I have a friend who's playing, and on my main account, I can clear up to, I think, stage 25, and then I get outsped. Like, the boss is fast, So yeah, this dungeon is a struggle if you're needing gear. Unfortunately, it's also the best place to get gear. So, there is that. I just have been lazy, and I haven't been pushing as hard as I should. I've been doing a lot of champ training.
One of the biggest things for you for live arena is right now I don't see a lot of fully maxed 6-star champions on your account.
Right.
And that is probably going to be where you're going to start falling down.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen more than 1 or 2 opponents who hasn't had at least everybody fully ascended, not blessed, but fully, fully purple starred, 6 stars in most cases, every champion they brought against me, with some blessings here and there.
Okay.
And then, obviously then there's gear problems as well. If you don't have the gear, having the base stats of a 6-star are going to be huge. And the fact that you've only got the 2 6-stars right now, what I would probably do, especially because it is a champ training event going on right now, I think this is the last day of it.
Right.
Just literally take all your gems, take all your everything else, and move into campaign and farm campaign.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing nonstop for the past couple of days, but I'm going to do more. Who do you recommend my next 60 should be?
Yeah, campaign will actually help you advance your account level too, more than any other location, because you get more experience. So I think I just made level 54 today.
Wow.
Yes, I just made level 54 today. So I'm 10 levels ahead of you on stuff. Some of that is just me hard diving into stuff. And some of it's because I hard dive into the missions. So I went into the missions, and the missions are giving me a bunch of gems and energy and other stuff like that too. So I can then invest those back into the account as well. So definitely don't forget about your missions or your challenges, but definitely start pushing more of those 6 stars. The other thing that I found was actually really good to do, I was actually surprised, so if you can clear Nightmare Campaign to 225 stars, you can get 2 5-star chickens.
Oh, wow. That's sweet. Yeah, I need to go in here and do this as well.
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Like, if you click on the silver there, so you're probably, well, you're not bad on silver, but if you click on the rewards there, that silver there is a 1.5 million silver. The gems is 150 gems, I think. 125. And then the next one's 150. Then the next one's 175. And then the ancient shards, it's actually 5 ancient shards.
Right.
So like during the 2X, I pushed for those 5 ancient shards. It wasn't too hard to get some of the nightmare stuff. There's actually some good rewards there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, don't kill yourself to get those either. So what I basically did is took 2 champions and 3-starred everything until I ran into a problem and then stopped. And that got me the shards. And then that's kind of why I stopped earlier on. Last week, I said, you know what, let's just kind of push this and give this a try, because there's a bunch of extra rewards in there that I think would be kind of helpful. And I took Alice and Ugo, and I ran all the way to stage 12-7 before I ran into a problem.
Wow.
At stage 12-7, I only ran into a problem because I chose to I got greedy with Ugo and tried to attack when I probably should have used a heal instead to not attack. That attack triggered his peril, and then he nuked my Alice.
Wow. Yeah, that is the most annoying boss. That is the most annoying boss.
But yeah, it's, I mean, obviously getting more 6 stars helps. You don't have to have all 6 stars. Like I'm using Haikatun, and she's like level 48 and 5-star and only 3-star ascended. She's got a ton of gear. She's like 250-ish speed. But, you know, I know with Haikatun, I literally need her to go fast, go first. And then if she dies the next hit, I don't care.
Right.
And then same with Ulfric, basically. You're basically looking for them to go absolutely fast. You don't care if they're tanky or not. So your speed champions don't have to be super tanky.
Right.
But your damage dealers definitely should be. Your support healers definitely should be as well, because otherwise you're just going to die. But that said, I still would probably worry about the first couple 6 stars you're going to make as ones that are going to help you most in clan boss and everywhere else in the game. So that's
Right.
where Ugo comes as a good 6 star at some point in time. Definitely make her a 5 star sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then Kale is definitely really good because he continues to be a good damage dealer in your account. But honestly, you've waited so long, maybe you just go Monkey King instead, and maybe Kale slowly finds his way out of your clan boss team. I don't know.
He's still good
really
there
depends on what
right
the masters
now,
are.
but I'm not entirely certain. I'm not in, see it really I really want a different poisoner, because I think poisons are absolutely massive in clan boss. I mean, we all know that they are, right? We all know that poisons are massive, and Kale's not the best poisoner out there. So I've just been holding out for a better poisoner that has slowed my progress, but it still might be worth it because he doesn't even have a 100% chance of placing these 4 poisons. You know what I mean? However, he does bring more DPS than like Alice does, except the Brimstone. The Brimstone's the exception to that. But as far as like a raw damage dealer goes, raw damage dealers didn't start getting good on my main until like later, way later. You know what I mean? So definitely relying on the poisons. I just would rather 60 a different poisoner than Kale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Kale was my absolute first one. I had him less than 3 days in, 6 starred, 60 mastered, and a lot of it actually came down to his A2, believe it or not.
Really?
His A2 for campaign farming made him a better farmer than the Monkey King, which is why I thought I was going to 6-star first as a wave farmer. The other thing I did really early on was I moved away from the lifesteal gear. I never put the lifesteal gear on Kale. I put it on the Sun Wukong because I thought he was going to be my campaign farmer. And my lifesteal gear was so terrible, I finally pulled it off after like day 7. And I've never gone back to lifesteal gear.
Fair.
So that's kind of where I've been with stuff. And I realized we were supposed to kind of be focused on arena, but this has certainly turned into a bit more of a general coaching session.
Oh, that's totally
kind of the
fine.
thing too, is early game arena, you really kind of want to just get your best champs and bring them in arena, especially 3v3 is kind of a matter of just putting together, okay, here's a bunch of champs that have gear on them. Let's throw them together and hope they can win.
Yeah, I haven't even touched 3v3 arena.
Oh, that's another, absolutely touch it. Even if all you're doing putting base stuff in, that extra 300 energy a week is kind of huge.
Okay.
And the extra ancient shard a week, you can pretty easily get into even with a couple of champions built, you can pretty easily get into bronze 2. And once you're in bronze 2, it's not that hard to be able to get both of those weekly without a problem. And then maybe some other stuff. I'm already in bronze 3.
Wow. That's insane, man. This is why we're having you on the channel, because you've got this figured out. Once again, guys, Braun is #1 in the HellHades free-to-play challenge. Well, I've got my defense set, so I can go in and trounce some of these easy teams.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have a problem with this team. And obviously, you spread out your damage dealers. You spread out your speed champions a bit. And, you know, you kind of figure out your lead. And then you throw a bunch of extra champions in there. For a while, I had a Selena Nightcloak in my arena team for a while as a rare burner, just because I had her kind of okay with some gear. For the longest time, I had Spider in some of my arena teams because he brought decreased defense and weaken. Now, I didn't have enough gear on him for him to be relatively useful in any way, shape, or form, but I had him in there. So I still have Fang Cleric in my teams, literally because he's got a speed lead on him.
Dude, I love Fang Cleric. I think he's guys. Okay, so I think Fang Cleric is one of the best champs to get early on. That is my personal opinion. Y'all can disagree, but he's got like everything you need, right? Free War Master proc, right, off of his A1. He's got the heal, which is a good heal. He's got a very good revive as well, you know? Sorry, I love Fang Cleric.
No, I mean, I don't disagree that he's not, you know, bad early on for somebody. The problem is that Takeover is flat out better.
Fair. Yeah, that's
most
fair.
Content, and he got him for free. So has not been invested for there. Obviously, I've got, you know, Kale as my starter, so I've got him for faction war stuff. And, you know, I'll probably get him to 5-star as my reviver. But yeah, his reviver isn't terrible. The unkillable is actually really nice with the continuous heal.
Yeah.
The heal with the veil, it actually is a 2-turn cooldown if you book it. I didn't realize that. That's pretty cool.
Well, Braun, thank you so much for coming on and giving me all your tips and tricks, guys. The secrets of the man who is going to win at least the content creator part of the HellHades free-to-play challenge have been revealed. So exclusive interview, guys. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Braun, thank you so much for coming on the channel and for talking me through some of that. Guys, here we are. Hope you enjoyed. We're going to go do a video on Braun's channel, so you guys can go check that out. I will have that linked in the description below. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Hop over there. Braun's an amazing guy, amazing content creator, guys. Braun, thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Felris. That's been Braun. And I will see you in another video.